Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer and I'm playing Imperium Romanum. The scenario is Maximinus Thrax versus the Senate, and I've just did the first turn of Maximinus. We captured Carthage and managed to kill Gordianus, one of the emperors of the Senate. So the actual emperor is now Pupienus. And I've also marched with my force into the direction of Rome. In addition, I've marched with a few guys here into the direction of Asia, hoping to take away that rich province also from the Senate's control. And I think overall it's a pretty hopeless situation for Maximinus, but you know, I mean, that's a historical simulation here, and we won't give up without a fight, I guess. So, I just want to come back to one important point where I said I changed the rules, and that was the thing. I said that basically I would switch the position of supply and land combat. But that's not correct. That's not what I was actually intending to do. Now the situation is the following. Here I'm playing with some, I don't know what that is, revised rules or something. It's called Imperium Romanun 3. And it seemed to be basically the standard rules with errata in them. That's how I read it. Most of it is more or less exactly the same, just a few additions here and there. But that's it. But there is one important point here, and that says enemy units that occupy the hex when a stag move in reduces the forage value of the hex. And this is one of these new added rules that are not in the former rule book, and I'm not sure if that makes a lot of sense. So I'm playing without this. I already said why, because if you are sitting in a hex and you are at the maximum, at the stacking limit there, at the foraging limit, then you're basically safe from any attacks, except someone else comes with a baggage train, which is extremely slow. So I'm going to play it that way, that if a force enters, there is still the foraging limit of the hex in effect, and if there are excess troops that entered there and that finish their turn there, then they are removed. But the enemy units don't reduce this foraging limit. So yeah, that's basically how I'm gonna play it. Because after a battle, one of the two factions has to leave the hex anyway if it is not eliminated. Therefore, yeah, I'm gonna play it that way. Okay, now let's see what the Senate will do here. I think they simply want to try to move down to kind of cut the way of the troop the troops of Maximinus somewhere here so that we can fight a battle and prevent them from conquering Italia. One problem, I mean, we have a big numerical advantage, but many of my troops are here in the east. We could, I mean, there is the problem that in the winter it takes a long time to march to Italy, for example, from, I don't know, here, marching through Asia Minor, and it's everywhere are mountains and so on. So that takes a very, very long time. The alternative would be using ships, which is much, much faster. But that is also a big risk during the winter. You could lose your ships due to attrition and all the troops on them with it. So therefore, this is not really an option right now. So I think for now, I'm going to try to somehow defend Italy only with the troops that I have here in Europe. And if it's summer, I try to bring as many as possible from the east as reinforcements. So it's important to remember that in the frontier provinces there is this penalty, or this movement penalty of -2. In addition, now during the first turn, the troops in Germania Inferior and Germania Superior have another penalty of 2. That means their movement was extremely limited here. Troops from Lugdunum moved down here. A leader with a little bit of light infantry moved from Rome north. This is the better leader. Pupienus actually has only a 1 as a tactical rating, while this guy has a 2. So he's a little better, and he's trying to meet the other troops then here for the big battle. By the way, also Maximinus also has only a +1, so he would be definitely an advantage then. Over here, the troops moved down from Legio, which is here. They moved down here, and trying to prevent these troops from entering Hispania and plundering there. Actually, I should have done that with these guys. I still have the option in the next turn, but maybe I should have done that before, and then I could have moved here into Carthago Nova, because if you capture a city, the capital city of a province, and you have a heavy infantry there, which this is not, by the way, so I can't do it anyway. But if I had a heavy unit there, I could plunder the province, which gives me money and costs the other guy morale. Still, I can take the province so that the other guy will lose a few morale points here, and that is reason enough for this legion to move down. Now over here, same problem. Cappadocia is a frontier province, so we got to move these guys now slowly to Asia. Let me see. I think that's also, yeah, that's all cultivated with roads, so it's not that terrible. With roads in the winter, it costs 3 to cross the rough. So we can move 3, 6, and that's basically it. We can only move here because the heavy units have only a movement allowance of 10. So they have only a movement allowance of 8 over there. Let me see. I think we cannot even remain there. We could go on with these guys, with the light units, a little bit further, simply because of the forage limit here. That is in rough, cultivated in the winter, it's only 6. Let's see. We might actually exceed that here. Yeah, that would mean that we were at 8. Therefore, yeah, I think I gotta do it that way then. There can be only 1 unit. Of these heavy units in a single space. That is a city. City, give 8 additional forage points, so that's no problem at all here. So that's now the end of the Senate's turn. If you take a look here on the map, not too much has changed. Basically, these troops here moved westward. A few remained here to keep the Persians from attacking. Troops from Judea moved north. Maybe they can somehow embark there or something. I think there is a fleet here. But that's going to be hard because, well, the transport capacity of a fleet is extremely limited. But okay, I mean, here they are completely useless. I've also sent a few troops here, and we have a fleet here. So we might consider moving with these guys a little later, if it's summer, here across the coast, and maybe we can then recapture Africa Proconsularis. The force here is also not too strong, so that could be an option too. And the Goths also started moving south, but just a single hex. In the north here it's all wild and not cultivated, wild and with no roads. So therefore they also had to use their baggage train for supply. And during winter it's extremely slow. Fine, so then we come to the next turn. This is now March, and as you can see, this is a mobilization turn. And here we start now with the random events. And I already said that I'm going to actually exchange the order. I'm going to start with the random events and then do the taxation and mobilization, simply because there are events which affect taxation and mobilization. So we have a random events table here. We're going to roll 2 dice. Now the first die roll here on the left, there we have to add the period, which is a 3 now, and on the second die roll we have to add the number of major powers, which is a 2. So yeah, let's do the first die roll here. Okay, that's a 10. What? No, that is not true. We have to roll only 1 die, of course. So that's a 3. And that means it's a 6, because period number 3. And the second one is a 6 plus 2 makes it 8. That brings us to event number C for Maximinus. And now we're going to check again the rules. There we are. Other leader death. Roll again. On a roll of 1 through 5, this was a false alarm, and the player loses 2 morale points. Otherwise, pick one leader, not counting imperators or rege, at random. This leader dies. Okay. Okay, seems we're good. So we lose 2 morale points here. Okay, let's do this again. We have, let's say the black die is for the first die roll. Okay, that means we got a 9 and a 3. And that is, oops, there we are, yeah, that's L. This is for the Senate, and that is a natural disaster. Roll again. This is a false alarm unless a 6 is rolled. Okay. Ah, there we are. It's a 6. If a 6 is rolled, the player chooses one city. This city is destroyed. It no longer exists for all game purposes. The tax value of the province in which the city is located is reduced by the city's defense strength. Okay. So I guess we can also simply take an enemy city. And therefore, let's see. What about Naissus? That's a big city that has a defense strength of 3. Yeah. Let's destroy that city. Maybe some earthquake or something. That is Mösia Superior. Let's check the tax value of that area. Yeah, that's 5. So the tax value is now only 2, if I'm not mistaken here. So now we come here to the taxation and mobilization. And taxation is pretty simple. The players simply add their total tax value to their treasury level. So that means Maximinus has now 65, while the Senate has 251 gold. The mobilization is a little more tricky. And we have here mobilization charts. Again, it depends on the period. This is period number 3. So here we can see the cost of the units. So this is the unit types here, and here in scenario 10 to 13, this is the cost of the different units. The unit quality, the combat efficiency rating, depends on the area where they are hired. So you can see, for example, here in Africa and Numidia we have only a quality of B, or in the East it's also only a quality of B, while everywhere else it's the top quality A. And this here indicates how many units of each type in each province can be hired per year. And every player writes down how many units he wants to hire. And if the total exceeds the possible limit, then they kind of have to split that up. And I'm not absolutely sure who gets it. If we have to round that or something, I don't know. I gotta find out here. In addition, you have to pay double the cost if you do your mobilization in June, September or December. The standard cost only applies if you do the mobilization in March, so I guess we want to do it now. Furthermore, we play with the special rules for training. That means heavy units must be hired in a city where there is already a veteran unit. And it has to be a veteran unit of the same type. If that's the case, these two units are in training. They are not allowed to move for one turn, for 1 month. So the new unit will be trained 1 month. And from then on, they can just do the ordinary movement. If you violate this rule, you can do it. You can ignore the training option, and you can just place the unit and move on and whatever. But then you have to pay double the price. So that means if it's not March, you have to pay quadruple the price. So this becomes really expensive then. Okay, now I'm going to write this down here in my mobilization form, because these limits, I already said that, they not only count for this month, they count for the whole year. So if someone hires a heavy infantry in Gallia, that's it for the whole year there. So I'm done with the recruiting now. It was quite a mess at the beginning because I forgot it's only allowed to recruit in provinces where you also have a leader. So you have to control the province and you have to have a leader in the province. Now, in addition, there is this training rule. So if I want to recruit a heavy infantry, I need to have a unit of the same type sitting in the city where I want to recruit the unit, and I have to train it. Otherwise, I have to pay double the price. So these things happen, for example, here. We have there these in training markers, or here. And actually, I use these turned around plunder markers because I went out of markers here. Another important thing is that if there is a countermix limit, then you can always raise weaker units of the same type. For example, these are CER, Combat Efficiency Rating B units. Usually in Cisalpine I could raise A units, but in this case, because I was at the end of the countermix here, I was allowed to raise a B unit instead. And I can control the purple and the red units and even green units as C efficiency rating in Italia and Cisalpine, but that was not necessary yet. Now, Maximinus raised a few units here, heavy units there in training, and I think also some light infantry somewhere there. Over here, the Senate raised also a heavy unit here in Antioch, and they also started to build 2 fleets there. That's pretty expensive, but they have the money. It takes 3 months to build a fleet, so I placed them here and I marked that on the mobilization form where they will show up. So in 3 months we can place these 2 fleets in Antioch. In addition to that, not too much actually did happen, Both players had a ton of money left, but the simple fact that we are at the end of the counter mix, there is also the limitation, of course, how many units can be raised per year, and finally the limitation with the leaders that were all factors that did not allow us to raise more units. So I'm done now with the turn of Maximinus, and he continued to move his army down here. Here he already reached Cisalpine partly. He tries to keep some units here to prevent these barbarians from rebelling, and maybe he can even hold out against the Goths. So that would give him some income then during the game. Apart from that, he managed to capture Utica. It's easy, there were no forces there, so just the intrinsic strength of the city, which was just a 3. So we simply marched in, did an assault, and it was no problem. Here it was a problem though, because we had our cavalry here, and the cavalry's strength was halved, and actually we rode poorly, and therefore we lost the cavalry. But the city is also fallen, so we control now Thapsus, Carthage, and Utica. But we need to control one more city to gain control over Africa Proconsularis completely. Now I also continued my march here in the direction of Ephesus. And over here I reached Nicomedia, and I also captured that. And this is the capital of Bithynia and Pontus. So that means that the Senate lost control over that province. That is a taxation of 7. That also means that the Senate, I think they actually will also lose control. They also lose morale then. 7. So they're down to 72 here. They already lost the tax value of the province. And what I'm going to do now is, and that is something you can only do if you have a heavy infantry or a heavy cavalry unit in the capital of the province. You can plunder the province, and I'm going to do that here. That gives me 3 times the tax value of the province. In addition, I got to place a plunder marker there. It takes now, I think, 2 turns until this marker is removed. For that time, at least 2 turns, maybe, I'm not even sure how long it takes. Wait a second. Yeah, actually only during, so it takes 2 mobilization and taxation phases, so half a year until that marker is removed. During this time, the cities in the province have no intrinsic battle strength. The forage value is halved. Baggage trains cannot be replenished in the province. I get now 3 times the money of the province in my treasure. That's 21. And the player that owned the province at the beginning of the game loses half the moral points equal to the tax value of the province. So they lose another 4. So in the end they lose now 11 moral points, because first they lost the province and then it was plundered. So yeah, we're at the end of at the end of March now. What basically happened is that this army moved even further to Cisalpine and Italia, while the Senate's army tries to prevent them from getting there. But if we take a closer look, this army is superior in size. So I really have my doubts that the Senate's army can prevent them from entering here. And yeah, it's going to be hard. I mean, a problem that the Senate has is that its morale is already decreased quite a bit. They're now at 68 here. Now, if they lose control over Cisalpine and Italy, that will cost them a lot of morale points. If we plunder them, that will cost them even more morale points. If they lose control over Asia and we plunder that, it is possible that they will actually go to 0. At least I could imagine that. I haven't calculated that through, but it seems to be possible. And if the morale level of one faction goes to 0, then that faction simply disintegrates and the other faction wins. Therefore, that is definitely a risk. Also here there is this race to Ephesus. These units will make it there first. The others are coming closer, and in this case this army is far superior. But if we can get there first, they will lose control over Asia. We can plunder Asia, which will cost them more points. They might regain control, but the points from plundering they cannot regain. So that's definitely an issue here. Okay, the Goths moved one step closer, and let's go into the next turn then. And here we have to check if it's going to be winter or summer. On a 1 to 4, we're going to have summer. And yes, indeed, it's a summer turn. So now we're going to definitely see some actions, because now the troops can move faster, foraging is easier. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it's actually hard for me to do this game. I don't have really the time and the peace to do these videos. I think this is now the 4th day or the 5th day that I'm playing on this video alone, and it's not easy to always come back. So please don't feel disturbed if I say things again that I've said before and so on, because yeah, it's just not so easy for me now. I don't have that much time. Okay, April. So and we're definitely going to see now some conflicts here. It's summer, and that's a big advantage now for Maximinus, because he might actually be able to use now his baggage train. He might also move down here, but I don't know. With the baggage train, we could support 32 stack points and really build one massive army. That is definitely a pretty good idea. So I think I only have one baggage train back here, and I can't move too far with that. This guy has only 4 movement points. By the way, if we cross a river during summer, at the beginning of the summer, the first month of the summer, it costs us double the movement points for this single hex than we would usually pay, because of the additional water that goes down the river when the snow has melted. Okay, so now let's see, we got 4 movement points here. There is no river here, but we can move through here. This is then two mountains in the summer. .5, 3. Problem is we have we have this garrison unit penalty of 2 points, but I think that doesn't count for baggage trains. I'm not sure, but I think that doesn't make a lot of sense. So therefore, we might be able to move here to Aquileia at least. Yeah, I think I want to do that. Okay, now I moved all these troops here to the Imperator box, basically here. All sitting in here now. And Maximinus took Aquileia. Okay. And in the next turn then he could march down and attack maybe here in Ravenna. And Rome is also not far anymore. Down here, this unit managed to take Capsa, but it was destroyed. While doing this, Capsa was also taken, but the unit had to take half the losses that it did. So although they were much stronger in the end, I play it that way, that Capsa is under control, but still the unit is lost. That gives now finally Maximinus control over Africa Proconsularis, and that gives them 19 additional points, morale points. So they have now a morale of 119, while the Senate only has a morale of 68. So there is now a difference of 51, and that is good enough for a +1 combat modifier. I think this guy was down here with the other troops. Okay. In addition, we're going to move here with these guys to Ephesus and take this out. Let's see. Here we simply could remain here. We're going to take that, and that's a battle strength of 3. 1 is subtracted because the city is on a hill, if I'm not mistaken here. Wait a second. Exactly, there are actually 2 of these chart books, and this is the one where I marked it. So 1 is subtracted here from the die roll. So let's see what we get. Now that is a 3, and I'm pretty sure that indicates that no damage here for the attacker, and the city is lost. So that means now that means further morale loss for the Senate, because they've now lost the province of Asia. Let's see what the tax value is. I think it was pretty significant. It was 15. Okay. So they have now only 53 morale left. I mean, it's going to be probably fairly easy for them to recapture that, but still. Okay, so now by the during the siege phase here, we have a heavy infantry there. That means we can plunder the province. I'm going to do that. I'm going to gain 8 gold out of this. No, that's not true. I'm going to gain 45 gold. I think it was 3 times the province gold value. So I'm going to get 45 gold out of this, and the Senate will lose another 8 points of morale here. So they're down to 45 now. Okay, so Maximinus, his main army is sitting in Aquileia. We have 2 small armies trying to protect his home provinces from the Goths and also from rebellions here. Here is only a leader left. We control Africa Proconsularis for now. We might recruit units now here. That is at least possible. And here we can try to hold these 2 cities as long as possible. I don't think we can do that for a long time. Still, we can keep these guys a little busy here. So let's see what the Senate is going to do now. Let's start over here. That's a little easier, I guess. So they want to free these cities. Let's see how far they can get. Can they move with this guy to the city? Would be cool. So that is a 1.5 2 3.5 5 6.5. Yeah, they can get there. And if they start with these guys first, then they could not retreat because they have cavalry. So yeah, I guess I want to go here first, and then afterward, the next turn I could try to move down. So I'm going to move with these here, and these guys are then going to move here, so we can then start an attack. Let's see if the stacking limit is sufficient. We have here in the rough, in the summer, it's a cultivated region. We have a stacking limit of what was it, 12 or something? Yeah, exactly. So we have how many stacking points? That's 4, 5, yeah, no problems here, 6, 8. Okay, so yeah, we can definitely do the attack here. Now over here, let's see, we can move this guy a little closer, I guess. 1, that's 1.5, 2, 2.5, 4, that's 5.5, my goodness, that's 7, 8.5, and that's 10. So we can move exactly here, and I'm pretty sure we can move these guys also there. So that's 3, 6, 9. We cannot quite make it, but with the not with the big ones. So I think I'm going to leave all of them here under the command of this guy, and don't risk an attack of these forces then in the next turn. Okay, fine. Now, in addition to this, we could now start some transportation actions, some naval transportation. And well, naval movement is also pretty simple. at least during summer. In the winter it's kind of tricky. You have to roll for attrition. Depending on how far you go, it gets more and more dangerous. But in the summer it's no big deal. You can move one coastal space, 2 deep sea spaces. Or no, of course not. Coastal space is 1 movement point, deep sea spaces are 2, and we have 30 movement points here. Each naval unit can carry 4 stacking points. So basically 1 heavy unit or 4 light units, light infantry units. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Well, technically, we must have done the naval movement before the land movement. But in this case, it's not that important. So now we can move here. 19. Embarking costs, from what I know, 2 points. I gotta check that. Yeah, so if we do it in a friendly port, which is the case here, Antioch, we can do it for 2 points. Otherwise, it's 6 points. So we were at 19, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take this guy here and move him. So it's 21, 22, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we're sitting now at Xanthus, which is in Lycia and Pamphylia. We control this area, so it is a friendly port. It's good to stop in a friendly port because you can only remain 1 turn on the open sea, and then in the following turn you have to end up in a friendly port, otherwise you're in trouble. Now these guys can also do transportation. Let's take maybe this time 4 smaller units, which we don't even have. So I'm gonna take instead also 1 big one. Okay, let's see how far we can go. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we could end up, for example, here in Brundisium and bring these guys here. So you can see you can do a lot of movement, especially in coastal areas, with a fleet. But they're pretty expensive and, well, it still takes you a while. Okay, here we can now also take one of these strong units and move into the direction of Africa Proconsularis. So this would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we end up here in Tripoli. And actually we can, this is still under our control. Although I'm not sure about that actually. So I wasn't sure if maybe when a province is controlled by a power, automatically all the remaining cities also become controlled by that power, but that seems not to be the case. So for now, it seems like these 2 cities still remain under control of the Senate. So that counts as a friendly port. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Okay, I'm simply going to move these guys also here into the direction of Antioch. I don't want to go there right away. There might be a problem with the stacking limit, although I don't think so, honestly. No, it's fine. Pretty sure we can be there. During summer, a clear space in a cultivated area gives food for 24 units, plus the city 8 units, so it's no problem. It's the stacking limit is 32 here. So I guess we're just fine there. Okay, and now we come to the more interesting part, which is over there. And let's see if we can form an army here. We were going to need a baggage train, that's for sure. There it is, and maybe we can form an army. Well, who knows? Okay, so believe it or not, the only battle we'll see in this month is actually over here in Nicomedia. So we have here these guys have a battle strength of 20. The others have a battle strength of 28, 34. Okay, so let's see, what is the ratio then? 20, 34, is it a 3 to 1? Not quite, huh? It's definitely a 2 to 1. Yeah, I guess that's where we end up. No, it's not. Of course it's not. Might be a 3 to 2. Yeah. I think it's this column. We have a +1 for the leader, but because it's a mountain, that evens out. There is no battle strength for the city that can be added because the area is plundered. If that happens, the city doesn't add any battle strength. So we simply roll on the 3 to 2 table here. And that's a 1, which is pretty bad actually. Pretty bad. That means nobody takes any losses, but the winner has won the battle. So that means the defender has won the battle. That means the other guys have to retreat. You're going to move in here. Now that might give me the time to simply retreat from there. In addition, for winning a battle, I get 2 points, 2 morale points, and the other guy loses 2 morale points. Well, actually, I remember now, I can subtract 1 because, yeah, indeed, because we have the morale modifier. So that means the result is actually a 0. So that means I win the battle, and the other guy takes... What? No, this is not true. Wait a second, we're here. No, it's the same. It's exactly the same result. Okay. Fine, 2 morale points on my side here. So let's do one more month. It's now May, obviously summer, and now it's again Maximinus, and now it's definitely time for an attack here. And we're going to move on now, trying to capture Ravenna, the capital of Cisalpine. I mean, I might also consider taking out that big army over there. That's definitely also an option. If I attack Ravenna, there's a risk involved because they are behind that river. That gives me a minus... No, I think actually the strength of my army is halved if I cross across a river. It's in a marsh, which then means that we have another -1 modifier if I do attack there. And if I do an assault against the city, then the defenders' strength points are doubled. Therefore, maybe that is actually not the best idea. But taking out these guys is not worth a lot. I mean, if I move here and cross the river here, then I could attack Ravenna from the side, and in this way at least don't take that massive penalty. Still have a ton of forces, so I guess I think I'm gonna do that. Okay, that's one. Now that's 1 point, 1 movement point. Entering here makes it then 3 movement points, and then see, I cannot bring my baggage train with me because that would cost me then more than 4 movement points. That sucks. It really does. I might consider a force march. Let's see how that works. Well, I'm not sure if the baggage train can be moved with a force march. I simply don't know that. But maybe I can actually split up. What if I move the baggage train across the river and the other guys come from the side? Well, actually, I think this is simply not allowed. Yeah, all units that begin and end the same movement phase stacked together must move together. Okay. Well, that's not so easy. Okay, here's my decision. I'm going to leave the baggage train in Aquileia with a single unit, light infantry. Then I'm going to move. This is 1 movement point. 1.5, 2 movement points, and then we end up here with 3 movement points, and then we're gonna attack that big stack here with this nameless leader. It's basically the main army here in the west. In addition, I want to move these guys Let me see, we have here 4, 5, 6. That's not going to be good enough for an attack against these. And they could retreat anyway, so I think I'm going to remain here in the city. It's going to be impossible for me to really face the Goths with their cavalry. They can simply retreat, and I see no chance of getting them. Here I might actually consider running away. Why not? On the other hand, I did pretty well during my first movement phase. Maybe I can run away from here. Let's see, we got a... Okay, 1.5. Crossing the river is a half, so it's 2. Another 1.5 makes it then 3.5. That's damn it. Wait a second. Okay, 1.5. 2, 3.5. And then we add simply 3, makes it, well, if we go here, it's 6.5. Yeah, we can actually move in here. That is, no, it's not. 6.5, 8. We cannot, here's a C or something, so we could only move here. What I could do though is, I could attack these guys. Do they have horses? Yes, they do, so they could run away, which would cost them morale points, but, interesting question. Do they want to take that risk? They have a leader. Yeah, I think they want to take that risk. So we see a battle here. It's not easy, but they have a leader, they have the high ground, so maybe it's worth not taking the morale points instead. Okay, and then with this leader, I'm gonna run away for now to Hippo Regius, because there the army is already coming. And this is it, and now we're gonna see some battles. Okay, now let's see, what do we have here? That's a 44. These guys have 20, 28, 34. Okay, so we're on the 4 to 5 table here. We can add 1 for our morale, but we gotta subtract 2 because of the leader and the terrain. So that's gonna be a close battle. Okay, that's only a 2. So that means no losses, but the defender has actually won the battle. Okay, so that means we have to retreat. Now, this is kind of interesting. I think we can now retreat into the same city, so in the end we actually made it into this city all together, although we had no movement points left. And we're gonna lose 2 morale points here. So this is actually interesting. It looks like the Senate is massively outnumbered, and they obviously are, you know, they have a strength point of 96, the others strength points of 194. Now, I guess that would be, if I'm not mistaken here, on the, yeah, that would be on the 2 to 1 table, but because of the city strength of Mediolanum, which is 3, that brings them up to 99, and then it's no longer on that table, but it's instead on the 3 to 2 table. So the difference is not that big. And let's see, we have combat modifiers. The leaders, they even each other out, but we have a morale bonus, which gives us a +1 modifier. That's all we have. Now, if we roll poorly now, that could mean bad news for Maximinus then. And that is horrible. That's just the one that means basically we have a 2 on that table. That means, well, luckily for him, no losses, and actually he even has won the game. It's interesting how hard it is to lose if you outnumber someone to a certain extent. I don't know if I like that a lot, actually, but you know, in this case, yeah, he actually has one. The others have to retreat, but he didn't do any losses to the others. But yeah, as we can see, it seems nearly impossible to lose. I wonder if you can... What is the situation if you are weaker than the other guy, but do an attack? That's kind of interesting. Let me see. Now, if you attack, well, then you can... Yeah, it's also pretty hard. I mean, basically, you can only do damage if you roll a 7. For example, on a 2 to 3 table. So you need some insanely good modifiers here. Also as an attacker. I thought maybe the attacker has some significant advantage or something, but that also seems not to be the case here. Okay, again I did a little bit of land movement before the naval movement for the Senate. I took Thapsus out. So in the next turn I can then take Carthage and recapture Africa Proconsularis, thereby gaining a new morale points. Same thing here, I took Ephesus. That means I recaptured Asia, which gave me 15 morale points. So now it's kind of this swing where it, for the first time in the game, I'm not losing all the time, but I'm starting to gain a few morale points. And now we're also no longer 50 points behind with our morale, so that modifier is gone for now. But now I'm going to do the naval movement as it should be done. So we have here a ton of units. First, I think I'm going to take... gosh. We have a ton of ships here now. That's pretty cool. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We enter there. Then we can take 3. By the way, I could also flip one of these. That does mean that there are 2 units there. Then I can take 4 stacking points on every unit. So I can actually take quite an army there. For example, all these guys, I guess. These should be 12 stacking points if I'm not mistaken exactly. So I think we were at 8. Okay, so that means we got 22 movement points left. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, let's bring them simply here. 22, we started in a friendly port, so that's no problem at all. And because there is no enemy navy, there's also no risk that we could lose anything here. Now then it's this guy here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could actually even move here. Oops. And bring these troops in here. Now this guy is not allowed to move any further. Only if you move only 10 movement points by sea, then you can do your full movement as a land unit after disembarking. So I'm not sure where I ended up. I'm going to leave him there for now. And we got also a leader here, I guess. Yeah, exactly. So then we got these guys here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 21, 2, 3, Okay, let's leave them there now. And what is this? I think they were also in Antioch. Yes, well, actually, what about these guys? I'm pretty happy with the result here. I don't even know if I need to bring more units on the other side. Okay, I think I want to move with this guy over here. 1, 2, 3. Wait a second. Where was I? Not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Well, let's move here. So I can take then, after Nicomedia is freed, I will be able to take these forces and also bring them back to Italia. Okay, I guess that's then the end of my naval operations. I already did the land operations here in Asia. I wonder if I can bring these forces for reinforcement to these guys. So that is 3 then. Yeah, that should be no problem. We can simply march in here and then attack Nicomedia. The only problem might be the stacking limit here. We got 4, 5, 6, 8. Oh yeah, 12. Yeah, that's not going to work out. This is here a mountain. We got summer. So there is a stacking limit of rough, cultivated 12. Let's see, we can take these guys. 8, 10, 11, 12. Okay, that should do it. The leader, the other guys have to remain here. Otherwise, we get the problem with the food. So we're gonna attack here. And now let's see the situation here. Are we strong enough to make a combined attack against Maximinus? That is a tough call, no doubt. Maybe I should wait, because reinforcements are coming down here, so it might not be necessary to do that. On the other hand, there's a pretty big risk here that I will lose all these units if I sit here. Maybe I can bring myself in a better position somewhere. Okay, so my idea is the following. I want to cross that river here, place a bunch of units in Genua, and maybe some others even in Placentia. Now the idea is that without his baggage train, it's going to be pretty damn hard for him to do an attack on these, simply because he's limited to 12 stacking points per area. I think as long as I control the city, he won't get the reward for the city. For the cities, the additional 8 points. So that means, yeah, I'm going to try that. What he can try is he can try an interception though. So he wants to intercept me here at Genua. To do that, we got to roll now. Let me see. Rough would be 1.5. Plus crossing a river is 2. We got to double that number, which is 4. Now we're going to roll a die and add the leader's rating to this. And if we roll equal to or higher then the number we doubled, then, or well, basically then 4, we're fine. So we got to roll a 3 now. And we did that. So we did a successful interception here, and that could have been really now important, because now we can do an attack. We can intercept that whole force here, and now the forage limit does not apply. At least that's the way I understand it. It only applies to the player, to the phasing player, not to me actually. And these guys don't have a problem with the forage limit because they are here in a friendly port, and as long as you are up to 4 movement points away from a friendly port, there is never a problem with foraging. So let's do this battle now again. And, well, it's the same values here, but this time it's even harder because there is no positive modifier for Maximinus, just one negative modifier, because we did an attack on a rough terrain. So he's got to be damn lucky now, but he still has got a chance. It's a, we said is the, no, wait a second. Genoa is only a small city, so the intrinsic strength here is not quite the same. It brings him only to 97. Yeah, that is pretty insane, because that brings him only to 97, not to 99, as the other city did. And that means that it's now exactly a 2-to-1 ratio. So the table is better now than before, but we have to subtract 1, and this is definitely going to be a massive and interesting battle. Ah, that was a good one. That's a 4. We got a 2-to-1. So that means the enemy force is destroyed completely, and we lose half of... No, wait a second, that's not quite true. We wanted to use the modified table here. Let's see if there's a difference. No, it seems to be the same. Yeah, that's exactly the same. So actually, we will lose half the enemy's strength, but we could eliminate the enemy force completely. Also, the leader dies. That will give us definitely also a morale boost. So we're going to see how this all turns out then. Okay, now thanks to that battle, the Maximinus has won 17 morale, and the Senate has lost 17. I should have done the battle probably after the movement phase. But okay, I mean, the Senate decided to move the troops from Ravenna down here to Rome. There is no problem with stacking because, again, it's a port there. And the troops here from Verona to Ravenna, so maybe they might go into a siege or something then. Apart from that, we see the battle now here. We come now technically to the battle phase. I mean, this was also part of this battle, this interception here. I should have done the battle there after the movement, okay? And now we come to the battle phase, and there is this one here. Now, I think I can actually not remain in the city and take a siege. Well, I could, maybe. The city gives me 8 supply. Now I gotta kill this guy then, But then I would also take attrition, siege attrition, and I don't know if that really helps me here. So I think I wanna do the battle here. So, and by the way, that leader, I think he might come back in. I'm not sure when he might come back. Just a second here. Losing leaders. Okay. When an unnamed leader is killed, his counter is placed on the month track on the next month, which has a taxation mobilization phase. And then we have to roll the die if the guy comes back or not. Where is he now? Here. Okay, so he might actually come back next month. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, then let's do the battle here. We have, well, the attackers have a strength of, well, that strength is halved. No, that's actually not true. Yes, it is. Damn it, I'm not sure. I think I actually... Do I want to go into the city and take the siege or not? I really don't know. No, I don't do it. Okay, so we have here 20, 40 on both sides, 44 here, 48 on the other side, and that only counts half. Is that so? No, that's not true, because we're not assaulting a city, but we're outside of the city. So that is then 48, 54, but I get the city strength, so that's 47 against 54. So actually I think we are here on the one-on-one table. There's a difference of 7. Let's see. So actually I'm pretty sure we're on the one-on-one table here. And we can add one for the leader, but subtract one for the terrain. So therefore it's an even chance. Let's see how it turns out here. That's a 3. And that is no effect, no result. And actually the defender wins the battle. So that means they have to retreat. And I get 2 morale points from that. And I'm not even sure they can retreat in there, because that might actually... Well, let's see. Well, supply comes after combat, so therefore I think right now it's not a problem. They can retreat in here, I guess. Okay. Okay, actually I realized there should be also a morale modifier in favor of the defending player here, and I wonder... Now these guys have a morale only left of, before that battle, of 41. Yeah, it's not 100 points different yet, so it's still just +1. But that would make that 3 into a 2. And that means actually that the attacking force is half eliminated, and I take 3/4 of the losses of the attacker. Holy shit, that's a lot. Okay, now let's see, we have Okay, so they had now 40, 50, 62, right? Does it make any sense, man? I thought it... Ah, no, they didn't attack with these two guys. Yeah, exactly. So that was 54. So they lose half of that. Makes it then 27. That sucks. So they gotta kill these. Okay, and I gotta lose 3/4 of 27. Let's make it 28, I guess. So we lose 21, right? Okay. Pretty bad. Okay, so basically that means I will get 4 additional morale points from that victory. So 4 plus 2 makes it 6 morale points. Okay, I guess I want to finish here. For now, this guy, is he with these? Yep. Okay. And I think it's looking actually not so bad for Maximinus, but he's got to force a decision now really soon. If he marches against Rome in the next turn, and there will be a big battle here, he might be able... I don't know if it's enough to win the game, actually. I mean, 35 morale points is a lot. Even if he wins a big battle, he might get maybe 20 morale points out of it. Maybe if he's lucky and he takes Rome, then the others will lose that many morale points because they don't control Italia anymore. That would actually win in the game. So maybe he can do it. But before we can do it, we actually have to do another mobilization phase. Yeah, I want to go through that. So then the next video might be a very short one, maybe. But yeah, I cannot do that now. All these bookkeeping and all that.